Hey everyone, welcome back to Shop Life. In this video, I'm going to show you how to change your front control arm bushings on your E46. This is a very simple DIY. It doesn't take too long and it will actually make a huge difference on the way your car handles. So what we have here is a 2000 323i, but this process is going to be the same for almost all of the E46 chassis, coupe, sedan, even the M3s is very similar. We're going to start off by checking if your control arm bushings are actually bad. The easiest way to do this is to jack up the car, just whatever side you want to check. We're going to do the front control arm bushings like I said. We have the front jacked up here. What you want to do is grab your wheel at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock and then just shake it like that. And you can hear that noise that's coming. That noise is going to be from your control arm bushing. Alright, so if you're having issues when you're going on freeway speeds, your steering wheel shaking around, when you brake, sometimes the steering wheel shakes, and you've already replaced the rotors, and you're still trying to chase down that shake, it could very much be the control arm bushings. Whenever you go over bumps and something like that and you hear a clunking noise, it can also be your control arm bushings. So the easiest test, like I said, to go and jack up the car and do a 3 to 9, check for any play, do a visual inspection, and just make sure everything is nice and tight. So this right here is the control arm bushing. This is the control arm itself. There's a ball joint at the end where it attaches to the wheel hub. There's also a ball joint that goes into the subframe. So a lot of times people mistake the entire ball joint being bad for just a control arm bushing. But usually the control arm bushings last about 50 to 60,000 miles unless you go a performance polyurethane bushing. But if you have replaced your bushing and the noise is still there, more than likely it's going to be one of these ball joints. You can also check for play in the ball joints by doing the similar thing and shaking at 3 and 9 or even using a pry bar to check for any play. So these ball joints are okay. We're just going to be replacing this bushing right here. So if you have a newer E46, you'll have a reinforcement plate right here. On this particular car, we have this triangular bar that is used for reinforcement and for stiffening. We're just going to remove this bar. If you have the reinforcement plate itself, you're going to have about 8 16mm screws that hold that entire plate. So just remove that whole plate. That will give you access to this bushing right here. And I've noticed that a lot of people don't really know. I don't really mention it as much, which I would think was pretty obvious. But I do own a shop in Alhambra, California. It's called Alpha Motor Works. If you guys ever need any work done, feel free to contact me through Instagram. I only do appointments. I do not take any walk-in clients. Feel free to look up the shop, contact me through Instagram, through the shop number, whatever you'd like, to set up an appointment, and then we can go from there. Also, if you guys want to see behind the scenes of my day-to-day work, be sure to check out my vlog channel. I try to document as much as I can whenever I get a chance to show exactly what goes on behind being a shop owner, being a full-time student, and just my whole life in general. Alright, so this plastic cover right here is covering some of the bolts for this triangle bar. It'll be the same for your reinforcement plate. We're going to remove it by undoing these Phillips screws. The Phillips screws are not normal screws. You just have to turn them a couple of turns and they will release. You see how they just fall down but they're not going to come all the way out? That's when you know they are fully released. With that out of the way, now you can remove the 16mm bolts holding your reinforcement plate or your triangular bar. If you live around the areas where they salt the roads in the winter or whatnot, make sure you get new bolts for your reinforcement plate as well as your control arm bushings. Another tip is try to get an impact wrench to remove these, because sometimes if they're really rusted in there, if you try to use a breaker bar or anything like that, they're just going to break off. It's going to cause a lot of headache. So if you live in a climate wherever it gets really cold, they salt the roads, just try to go and buy an impact wrench. Get an electric one with a lot of power, especially if it's getting really rusty over there. You can also use that on your lug bolts for your wheels and whatnot, and any other really tough bolt that's hard to remove. The bolts for the control arm bushing are also 16mm bolts. And like I said, if you are in a climate where they salt the roads, make sure you use an impact to remove these bolts. Especially the reinforcement plates, if they break, you could do without that for temporarily. But if any of these bolts break, you are going to have to get your car towed to a shop in order for them to extract the bolt. Unless you could do it at home by yourself. You can see how much play is in this bushing. And you can hear all that noise. That's when you know they're bad. So we're going to remove this bushing. You can just use a mallet or some kind of, you can use a mallet or a 3-jaw puller to pull it all the way off. We're just going to use a mallet. These are already toast. just hit them right off. So now that we got the top enclosure out, this remaining part of the bushing is still in here. We're gonna use a 3-jaw puller to pull it off. If you don't have one of these, you can get it from your auto parts store. They rent them out. You can buy it. You go to Harbor Freight, you get it from there. What you wanna do is get the 3 jaws around the bushing, and then you're just gonna tighten it, and it should start pulling it right off. Alright, so you can see how I had the 3 jaws put around the little rubber bushing on the inside section, and then I was able to pull it out. Now with that off, you want to clean up this control arm, clean it up as good as you can, and then get the new bushing, get some soap or dish detergent or something like that. That'll allow you to squeeze it on, and you can use that as lubricant. And then we're just going to push it right on. So make sure you match up the bushing that came off of each side, because the indent is going to be different on both sides. So as you can see, this is the driver's side. The passenger side, you see how the angle is completely different. So you want to make sure you get the right one that you're putting on. Otherwise, if you put this on the wrong side, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to get it back off. You can get your bushings at your local auto parts store. The ones that I recommend are either Lemforder or Mile HD. They're both really good, especially if you're replacing control arms as well. I think Mile HD has a whole kit with the bushing already pre-pressed on the control arm. That's a great one to get. I will have a DIY on control arm replacement here shortly, since I need to do that on my wagon as well. So when I do that, I'll try and make a DIY that shows all of this again as well. Alright, so now I got it cleaned up. I put a little bit of grease on it. Now we're going to push them on. Once you have it started, you can also use some wood or some kind of protection and a mallet to get it on the rest of the way. One more hit. Alright, now we have it pushed all the way in. Come and show them on this side. Now it's pushed all the way in, we can go ahead and refasten it to the chassis. Alright, so now I'm going to go and do the other side. It's the exact same process, just the bushing is going to be a little flipped, the angle is different, but everything else is exactly the same. You still got to take it off the same way, put the other one on the same way, and you should be good to go. Alright, so that's it for this DIY. Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for more videos, and also go check out the vlog channel. And one more thing, if you guys need any work done and you're in the Southern California area, I'm right in Alhambra, California, right outside of Los Angeles. Thanks for watching.